Hey, this is Game Changers episode 5. We're here with Mr. Gary Vaynerchuck, who needs no introduction. We're so happy to be here. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, and I want to say one big thing. I don't know if you know this, but 5 is by far my favorite and luckiest number. So I'm going to make a very early prediction that this will be the greatest show of all time
It's going to crush it.
In the history of this series. Just saying.
That's awesome. Well, I don't want to act like we're cool enough to just call you on the phone and know who you are. I mean, how we got here is actually a story in itself that embodies the Think 2 economy. You know, you wrote on your Facebook wall, "Who hasn't bought wine from us?" And as much as I follow what your work and your theories, I never bought wine from you. So here I go, and I don't know why.
Oh, I know why. That's why I asked the question, which is like, it's just an interesting, I talk a lot about the Thank You economy and crush and things of that nature, but, when you're never asking for business, sometimes you don't get it. Like, it's kind of the way I think about my mom and dad. My mom and dad are very different. My mom gets taken for granted because she never asks. And now, and you know this because you do know my spiel, when you go in for the ask, after you've given so much, you tend to get what you're asking for. And so I think that, when you're being very Mother Teresa in your marketing and very Thank You economy, you're not actually looking for short-term stuff. But once in a while, you've got to ask. And so that was a really interesting time in my career where I was like, holy shit, I bet you that 70% of the people, even though they know all my stuff, haven't bought a bottle of wine from Wine Library. This would be a good time to maybe ask. So sorry to hijack the story, but go ahead.
No.
That was giving you guys some context from my Go ahead.
So you made the ask, and I called back and I said, hey, I'll raise you on that one. How about I come here, interview you for my project, my Crush It brand, and then I'll buy the rest of my wine from you for the rest of the year. And you said I'm in, and I just remember that moment. What's going through your mind in that moment? I mean, you're obviously an extremely busy guy. What is that mantra in your head like?
So a couple things run through my mind, especially thinking about the context of this interview and what you're bringing to the table. Truth be told, that was a serendipitous event. You caught me at the right second, at the right time during that event. Nate's laughing because Nate, being my assistant, sees all this stuff, and he knows how many no's come with every yes. And so it really speaks to me. What's going through my mind at that moment is, you caught me at the right emotional time. I feel like I can do it in a world where I promised Nate and myself and VaynerMedia, where you're at, that I'm not going to do these things. This 20 minutes really matters to me. Like, I really need it. Like, time is the only thing I give a fuck about, right? And so what happens is you catch me at the right moment. I do a lot of things emotionally, not just analytically. Analytically, this is a not good decision. Emotionally, this is exactly what I'm about. It's exactly why I think you care about what I do. It's exactly what I hope the people there care about what I do. And that's why it's always a blend. It doesn't have to make sense. This didn't make sense statistically. It made sense emotionally. You call me at the right moment. I said I'm in. And it also speaks to why people, yourselves, me, you should always try to have more at-bats. Like, if I would have never answered that email, I would like to think that you would know to do it again the next time, instead of saying, oh, fuck Gary. Because I think people need to be realistic about things and understand what the chances are of things happening. But the chances of things happening when you do it 33 times instead of 1 time are greater. If it's 1 out of a million and it's the same ask every time, 33 out of a million is a better opportunity. And so, that's kind of the ethos of that story. What was going through my mind? I have fucking no idea. I just said sure.
Exactly. But it embodies the very principles that you're about.
I believe the fundamental thing, and I'm starting to capture this in my mind, I'm obsessed and believe in scaling the unscalable. I think the #1 thing that I think about when business is supply and demand. Supply and demand is a tried and true business thing. The #1 thing that I think is lacking in supply in today's world is effort. I know what this means. Listen, I'm trying to climb in my world too. Like, I know what an email from the President of the United States or a very big celebrity in my inbox means. It's like, holy shit. And I know that I'm lucky enough through hard work and opportunity and luck and hustle and everything that there's people that look to me that way in this world. And so, like, do you know how good it feels that you say, when I hear you start with, we're not cool enough to know you, I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, my brand's in a place where people care. So, like, that's a big deal. I'm driven by gratitude. I'm thankful that you feel that way. And so there's a really good way to pay back that thanks. It's to do the things that you hope that would happen to you.
Awesome. Awesome. Switching gears a second, blendedprofit.com is a website that we started. It's kind of slowing down the conversation in terms of how people interact with business. Basically, there are many ways we do it, but how can we do it in a more conscious way? So I don't know how much you know about this whole social enterprise, creative capitalism, this movement where you can have a deeper purpose, but also take care of your stakeholders. The two areas that you've done an unbelievable job is how you treat your employees and how you treat your customers. But it goes on to other parts of the business, your suppliers, your buyers, so on and so forth. You know, your energy and things like that. So first off, why? Tell me more about your ethos on your workers and like the, you know, how's that whole no vacation that you've famously talked about played out?
Yeah. So just to clarify, it's not that nobody's allowed to have vacation. There's no vacation policy here at VaynerMedia, which is people can take 365 days a year off. Most likely they'll get fired. But you know, I believe in capitalism. You know, I think 2 weeks paid vacation is communism. I think it's corporate. I think it's, you know, boxing your people in and not letting them do their thing. I think when you give people rope, they make amazing things happen or they hang themselves. I'm obsessed with that. I want to give people as much autonomy as possible. It's absurd how much autonomy I tend to give people, except about maybe the things that really most matter. Nate gets the least autonomy because he's controlling my life. But like, fact of the matter is, you know, I trust my employees. I'm also not scared to the damage that they can do. None of them are better than me. Collectively, I don't think they're better than me, so it comes across egotistical. Like, I do think, like, if 7 bad things happen, that I could fix it. So it stems in confidence. It stems in that I'm willing to scale the unscalable. It's hard to one-on-one market your own employees, be in tune with them, offer them time with you. And I can't scale all the way, but I'm trying, and I continue to make them realize that they can have it. So Patricia at VaynerMedia is smart enough to take advantage of it, and others don't believe that it's true or are scared or intimidated. And so, you know, it's just one of these things where you just give people freedom and you let them do their thing. I don't know how to operate in a world where I'm not giving minimum 51% to every relationship I'm in. I just don't know how to operate in that world. I'm uncomfortable with a 50-50 relationship. I don't even know how to handle myself in the other version. I want nothing. I don't even like the fact that I was able to grow my career in my dad's family business because I feel like that was him giving me. I used to cry multiple times a year to my mom at 18 saying, one day everybody's gonna think that dad gave it to me and that I'm not that good. I was not mature enough or understood. Now, as a matter of fact, I feel like my poor dad gets no credit for it. It's like on this great thing. Like, you know, it's amazing how things work out, but I hate my birthday. I despise getting gifts. Nate will tell you, like, I mean, I don't open them. Sorry, don't send me anything because I don't want them. I don't want stuff. I don't give a fuck about stuff. So in a world where I'm uncomfortable being 50-50, employees are the most important thing. So I want to be 70-30 if I can help it. And customers are next, right? And I said that on purpose. Pay attention. Employees first. Customers next. That's how you take care of customers, by employees first. So 70-30 to employees, and 60-40 to customers, and 90-10 to my family members, and 51-49 to my strangers, and 56-44 to my acquaintances. And so that's how I roll.
Yeah. So on that note, one of the things that I always found interesting in Crush It was that you talk about at the end of the book leaving your legacy, and in different lectures you talk about how you think about every day that your grandchildren will read everything about you from the time you open up a Twitter account. Now the same thing is now true about corporations as well, and there's a lot more information about your Gillette razors and whatnot. So how do you take that to a corporation and say, hey, you need to build this relationship, build this brand for 3, 5, 10 years down the road when you don't actually know what that company's going to even look like 3 years down the road, even a year out,
This doesn't work in corporate America. And I know that's like a bomb answer to this question. It doesn't, and here's why. What I'm doing is playing basketball. What corporate America is doing is playing hockey. What I mean by that is they're playing in a world where Wall Street dictates the rules of the game, and they're playing quarter to quarter. When you're playing that short term of a game, you play differently. If I was judged on that, if I didn't care about my legacy, but my legacy was what happens in the next 3 months, you would see me act like a very different person. So I don't get mad at corporate CEOs or people in that environment because their scorecard is very different. It's why I never respected school or kids that were great students and I always felt they'd be better than them. I'm like, so great, so you know how to dictate and listen, repeat, memorize, and then execute. I'm like, I'll see you in 15 years. You know,
Sure.
So the answer is until the rules are, until you go top down, until Wall Street scores differently and they get compensated. CEOs and CMOs get compensated on Wall Street stock prices. Wall Street scores this way every 3 months, the end. That's why the people that build the best companies in the world, there's no wonder that the #1 company in the world, Apple, was driven by a guy who said, go fuck yourself, Wall Street. There's no wonder that Zucks is like, I don't give a fuck that my stock's at $19 right now. Now, we don't know yet how good Zucks is, but we know that he was good enough to do what he's done so far, and I'm gonna bet on like, let's keep seeing it, right? And so, you know, him buying Instagram for $1 billion actually spoke more to me about him being good. It's a crazy price, but he understands that mobile's the future, and if he didn't make a bet, he lost. So to answer your question, I think until the scoring is done differently, how can I walk into a CEO of a Fortune 500 company and tell them to do this when by the time they do it, they'll be fired? Because when you're slow rolling it, when people aren't buying your wine from you, then what the fuck are you doing? Right. And so that's the reality of it.
Do you think there's any way, so, you know, a lot of people are trying to launch their businesses, be more socially conscious, you know, they might take on venture capital, but they're still trying to do things for the community, for other people. Is there a way to communicate more with investors? Because the fact is that a lot of companies out there have investors.
It's going to come from the bottom up, and it's going to be the day when the Facebooks of the world, so Google said, go screw yourself, Wall Street, we're going to do this Dutch auction, remember that? Until the next Facebook, the next Google says, we're never going public, it won't happen. Period. So I think the answer is yes, but I think it's in a change that we don't even think about.
When they never go public.
They never go public.
Because public markets are in decline anyways.
Yes. I think it's coming. I think this is the ethos to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if we see it. I mean it. You guys are younger than me. I don't know if we see it, but I do firmly believe 60 years from now, day-to-day business, that there's a real chance that public markets aren't the only way. And that's maybe me being naive to not really understand all the values of the public market. I'm massively saying that out loud. But I do believe things are changing, and the way people's scorecard is changing, and I do think culture changes, and the world changes much greater than people think.
Yeah.
So I think, and I think there is a way.
Well, I mean, even the Silicon Valley guys, it seems like IPO isn't necessarily the way they want to go anymore. If they want to get acquired into a company they believe in, you know, they want to get acquired by Google, they want to get acquired by Facebook.
What happens when people start realizing the real happiness, which is like running your business the way you want to and still making a $1 billion business. Like, it just depends on what you want. When the world starts being more wired like me, which is, it's not about stuff, it's about victory and legacy, that's when I think it gets interesting.
Yeah, you have companies now, corporations or people, taking like very strong political stances and being very vocal about it. Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, crazy shit. Yeah. So you guys are barking up the right tree. I'm blown away by this stuff. Like, the humanization of business is something I talk about a lot, and you guys know my spiel. I just didn't realize how fast it was going to go to being this public about opinions. We're living through polarizing, like, we may be seeing the beginning of like the reasons that the US doesn't become, you know, every empire falls. And the polarization of our society, we're closer to Civil War type nuances than we've been since it. It's unbelievable to me that it's happening. Like, the political correctness of our society, which is where we were trying to get closer to each other, is well on its way to breaking. Like, public celebrities and businesses and mayors of towns making stances. And listen, you know, whatever side of the equation you are, to be in a place where you're not willing to listen to the other side and make that definitive, like, go fuck yourself, that's bad. I'm very scared. As somebody who left, and I'm very scared in a very practical way. I'm not like one of these zenny, like, oh, fuck. I'm scared in like, America's gonna be different in 100 years. I won't be here, but my grandkids are gonna be dealing with a very, I'm catching an empire during its good years. The Greeks that lived through the good years, it's fucking awesome. You know what I mean? But you can start smelling, I mean, media dictates thought. And the media has been polarizing the US. Now, the dilution of media and the fragmentation of media is going to be interesting. So, will that offset? Because it's always about, you know, offsetting the masses to create one thought. And so right now we've got two thoughts. It's interesting, man. You're barking up a tree that I'm paying a lot of attention to.
Yeah.
I think it's changing the game.
Right. I mean, you see it globally too a lot. Like.
And here's what gets most scary, and I apologize. I think Chick-fil-A is going to come out next quarter and be like, we've done our best quarter, because what happens is the other polarizing side of it goes and over-supports it.
It's funny because I live in DC, but I'm from Texas. So in Texas, there's lines out the door celebrating Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
But in DC, everyone's tweeting like, I'll never buy Chick-fil-A again.
Yeah. And so you're going to have regional plays again.
Yeah.
We're going to go back to not one society. And so
it's going to be a lot of little pockets. I mean,
here's what bothers me the most. It makes us look like other countries.
It does. Yeah.
We're starting to get to a place we're starting to look a lot more like the things that have led to the persecutions of people, and it's really sad. Now, luckily for now, we're so 50-50'd out, but, 60-40 changes everything.
Yeah. Just bringing it back to like the actual branding of these businesses.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm really passionate about, my crush it passion is changing the way business is done through like good business, businesses that source their products sustainably, all that jazz. Until now, it's kind of been poised for growth,
of course,
but it hasn't. Everyone says 5 years ago it's poised for growth. Today, still, it's poised for growth.
It depends on how you look at it, right? Like you look at companies like Tom's Shoes, right, or Warby Parker, Whole Foods, right? You look at companies that are clearly leveraging doing the right thing for business. That is really attaching to the 20 to 30-year-old consumer. And the 20, 30-year-old consumer is cooler than the 30 to 40-year-old consumer. And we're living through the youthization of our society where 30 to 50-year-olds want to be 20, and so that demo is driving it. So I think you're going to see a sped up process of this. I think it matters. I think that I'm a businessman. I'm not that good of a dude. I never thought 5 years ago of doing a business that was around good causes, and now I think about it every day.
Really?
So if that's true, I know that I'm the most evil when I think about business, and if that's in my thought process, I know the other evil businessmen are thinking that too, which means it's coming. Period. Like I every day think, like, how do I start a wine brand where I donate grape juice to Indonesia? Like that shit goes through my mind. That means I'm doing it for the wrong reason, which is exactly what we want. Let me say it again. It means I'm doing it for the wrong reason, which is exactly what we want, because it means it's going to be scalable.
Yeah.
When it was done for the right reason, Zen and business don't mix. When they start blending, like a good wine, that's when the magic happens. I'm a good human being, and now I like the idea, and now because I think I over-index a little bit towards the good people thing, now I'm trying to think about what would actually mean something to me.
Yeah.
So let's not just do grape juice. Like what should I wait to my parents passing, or somebody very close to me passing away, and then using that issue or that thing, or is somebody going to just capture my emotion? I'm a supporter of charity water because Scott captured in his passion my passion, but it really doesn't completely own me. If something completely owns me, I want to do a business around it because I think I can impact more by building a big business and giving to it than I can by writing a check.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
The original social enterprise is healthcare, right? And that's one of the biggest sectors of the economy.
Sure.
And most of the people in there, I mean, depends, but a lot of them, the
But
paycheck helps.
But then it was sent to the wrong players. When it starts with entrepreneurship, it works. When it goes to
corporatization,
when it goes to politicians who are students, it loses.
You're saying, and the market moves to solve the problems if there's money to be made.
The bigger you get, the slower you are, the more inefficient you are in the end. This is always going to be the same thing. Battery's going. All right, get to your punchlines. You see the blinking light?
That's it.
That is it?
No, basically, there's a ton of people out there crushing it right now in the thick of everything. And I just want you to kind of lay it down, just kind of some motivation, some inspiration.
I mean, I'm not gonna do it in how much time do I have based on the blinking. It can go every seconds. Good. Here's the bottom line. Execute and get who you want to be because it's the only life that you have. Period. You're going to be desperately, desperately sad when you're 70 and you didn't do the shit you wanted to. If you can do one thing, one call to action, find 3 to 10 random 70 to 100-year-old people that you don't know and ask them about their life. When you see the pain in their eyes when they didn't do the shit they wanted, promise me that you won't do that. That's it.